My name is Max Striker. I used to be a detective inspector with the DLPD, but now they're gone, and I gotta get to know this city all over again. This, cult of the fist was something that needed to be dealt with. Now, I didn't think I'd be back here so soon, but my talks with Drayden were gonna have to wait. This took precedence. I needed information. I needed an inside source. And this Dan Sparce fella looked to be the guy I needed to go to. I don't usually like these investigative journalist types sticking their noses in where it don't belong, in the things the authorities should be looking into instead. But hell, the way this city was going, there weren't any authorities to go to, so he was my next best bet. He'd released some kind of documentary looking into the movements of Slippery Pete, the guy who I gave to Shroomraver to try and help him win last season. Didn't quite work out, but I figured I'd pay Mr. Sparce a visit anyway. We had a lot to talk about, and we didn't always agree on things, but he knew the way the city was going just as well as I did, and he knew that something had to be done. If he made a name for himself along the way, so much the better for him. But with Shroomraver having lost a couple of games and me already hitching my wagon to his success, I needed every bit of information I could in order to help him get himself back on track. And things have been working out okay in the last couple weeks, but we all know that that kind of thing ain't necessarily sustainable. I didn't know that I liked being back in Draft League City so soon after I'd gone. But maybe this is where I needed to be all along. Trying to find a way to put things back to the way they had been from the start. Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and welcome to week 8 of the MBC. Yes indeed, we are making a real push for playoffs right about now, looking pretty good in the top part of the table. Today we are taking on Gentleman Thomas and the Copenhagen Gallades. His links down in the description below, make sure you check them out along with everybody else. I've never had the opportunity to play him. In PPL Bolton Flair, he took over from a team I'd already battled, so it's the first time we get to battle, which is very exciting stuff. He's a very good player, and he's got a very nasty team, which is comprised of Palafin, Ogerpon, Wellspring, Weavile, Scizor, Donphan, Hisuian Typhlosion, Snorlax, Toxtricity, Hitmonchan, and Trapinch. He has 3 Terra Captains, those being the Snorlax, Toxtricity, and Trapinch. So a lot of nasty bulk and powerful offense to try and get around a very physically threatening team. We are starting off with the Berry Mixed Offensive Iron Val. We have enough speed on there to outrun the Ogerpon Wellspring. Max attack 48 into special attack. We're rocking out with Close Combat, Moonblast, Fire Punch, and Vacuum Wave on there. The Berry will allow us to take any Bullet Punch from the Scizor and Oko back with Fire Punch. If it doesn't Oko through Sash or Oka, then we have Vacuum Wave to finish it off. Close Combat is looking fairly spammable into his team. Moonblast is good coverage along with it. Next up, we have a Choice Specs Raging Bolt. 160 special attack, modest, 216 in defense. We've got 132 in speed, that's allowing us to hopefully outrun something like a Donphan, I think maybe the Toxtricity if it doesn't have much investment. Hitmonchan too, some of those slower threats. Draco Meteor, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, and Thunderclap is very standard stuff. Specs Draco is incredibly free into his team. He doesn't have a Fairy outside of Terra Ring, and we are kind of anticipating the Terra Fairy to come on Snorlax this week. Even Scizor will take a good amount from a Draco Meteor from Specs. Next up, we have Rocky Helmet Petulant, max HP, 76 defense, bold, most of the rest going into special defense just to balance it out. Malignant Chain, Shadow Ball, Parting Shot, Recover, another fairly standard spread here. I'm not fully anticipating the Ogerpon to come, but it's nice to have this guy just in case it does. It also should do decently into the likes of physical Palafin. We should be able to take one hit at least from the Donphan, try and get some Malignant Chains going there. Next we have a mixed defensive Citrus Berry Ting-Lu. 236 defense, 244 special defense, careful nature. A little bit into speed just to creep the creepers. Ruination, Earthquake, Body Press, and Whirlwind. There is a lot of setup presence on Gentleman Thomas's team, so Whirlwind is going to be nice to get rid of those. We can Ruination a bunch of things down. He doesn't have an awful lot of recovery on his team, if any, so getting good 50% chip on stuff could be really nice. Like I say, he's got a very physically present team, so this is one of the few we have going into special defense. Should be able to take on the Hisuian Typhlosion and the Toxtricity, though if the Toxtricity comes, I would anticipate Terra Grass makes the most sense. Could be Water, but I would anticipate Grass on there. Fifth member of the team, as I scroll down, is going to be Citrus Berry Glastria with the Terra Water. We have max physical defense, 216 adamant nature with attack, Icicle Crash, Body Press, High Horsepower, and Iron Defense. Like I say, it's a very physically threatening team that we're going up against, so having Fizdef Glastria with Terra Water to better take on the likes of the Weavile, the Palafin, the Scizor once I'm Terra'd especially, even the Snorlax if I can get up some decent boosts. The Hitmonchan, the Trapinch, all of those physical threats, Glastria should be able to take them on as well as Poss. And the last member of the team is the unexpected WinCon. It is Weakness Policy Brambleghast. Shout out to Ellie for coming up with the idea for the set. We are 252 defense impish, 160 in speed, 96 into HP, Poltergeist, Power Whip, Rapid Spin, and Strength Sap. After a Rapid Spin, we are outspeeding everything on my opponent's team that is non-boosted. Poltergeist and Power Whip go pretty hard in, and we can Strength Sap up again on a very physically based team to keep ourselves as healthy as possible for a potential end game. We can get a Weakness Policy boost off of, say, an Ice Shard from Weavile if we have that Rapid Spin off. An Ice Punch from the Palafin, something like a knockoff from Scizor, maybe, or more likely the Donphan. Crunch from Snorlax, knockoff from Hitmonchan, Crunch from Trapinch, which, you know, we're taking seriously the Trapinch, we know what it can do. But yeah, that's Brambleghast, our WinCon here. So yeah, that's the team I'm bringing. Let's get into the battle screen and see what Gentleman Thomas has decided to bring against us. So, as you can see, Thomas has decided to bring Palafin, Weavile, Toxtricity, Hitmonchan, Scizor, and Snorlax. A lot of what we're expecting. I thought maybe the Donphan over the Hitmonchan. It is indeed Terra Grass Toxtricity and Terra Fairy Snorlax. Now, Thomas has not led with Palafin very much, but with my Raging Bolt looking really good, I'm kind of lured into leading with it. I do want to get a big Specs hit off as early as possible. Like I say, there is no immunity to Draco, and he doesn't have the what's it called, the Donphan either. So my moves are fairly free. I'm going to lead with Raging Bolt. So let's see what Gentleman Thomas decides to do to try and counteract that. So here we go, MBC Week 8 versus Gentleman Thomas and the Copenhagen Gallades. There he is. He is going to lead with the Weavile. I was so close to leading with my Glastria, but I was lured in to going with Raging Bolt, and Thomas has seen that coming a mile away, so good lead on his part. I don't want to stay in here. I don't want to take a triple axle, which could just straight up kill me if he's banded, for example. So I am going to, a little bit too late, go into my Glastria to see if it can take on this Weavile a bit better. So, gonna pull Raging Roger back, as I say, and I'm going to make the play into my Glastria to see what this Weavile is going to do, and he is going to go for Swords Dance. Now, this is looking like a Sash Breaker lead, but even at +2, I'm not overly threatened. The only thing that's really going to do a massive amount of damage to me as I am is Low Kick. So what I'm going to do is just Terra out of Ice, go into my Terra Water form, and just go for Body Press. And I don't really need to set up an Iron Defense here. I'm assuming he's going to be sashed and Body Press will take him down to that sash. So that's what I'm going to go for. So, I am going to turn to pop my Terror on my Glastrier, removing the Ice typing just in case he does want to go for a +2 low kick. That would do far too much damage for my liking, and I want to break this thing's sash by any means. He's actually going to go for a second Swords Dance, which is kind of scary. But I will tell you this much, a +4 knockoff still does not take us out from full, which is hilarious. Glastrier is gross. Now, as it is, as I say, the sash is going to pop, and this is where Pickpocket is going to come in and steal my Citrus Berry, which is very rude. But this actually is going to nerf that knockoff. A +4 knockoff to an itemless Glastrier is going to do a little over half of my health. Even if I had the item, it would leave us at max roll with 1 hit point, because as I say, Glastrier is done. But, like I say, I'm just going to stay in here and go for body press. He can't kill me here, which is great, so this should, barring a disaster, be an early 6-5 lead for us. So in comes the knockoff, and like I say, it does just over half without our item. We're going to go for body press. That is going to take the Weavile down very early game. We take that lead, and that is a really good position to be in. Now, much of anything can come in and revenge my Glastrier here. With the plan with Glastrier, once it comes in, it's not switching out again. I am pretty much committed to leaving it in here and doing as much work as it can early on. So, in comes the Toxtricity. Now, like I say, I'm pretty much committed to just staying in and clicking buttons until I go down. And especially with Toxtricity, I can't really take the risk of switching. Obviously, my Ting-Lu is a fairly useful switch, but he is that Terra Grass. He could be packing Terra Blast. He could go for that. He could try and set up a Shift Gear. A Shift Gear with Throat Spray could do massive amount of damage to me, especially in conjunction with Terra. Or he could predict the switch out and go for like a Toxic to get me on a timer. So what I'm going to do is do the best middle ground play I can, go for Icicle Crash. At +1, it will kill this Toxtricity if he doesn't decide to take me out here. Now, predicting the switch into my Ting-Lu, Toxtricity is going to go for Toxic here, which is actually really good for me, because as you'll see, I'm going to go for Icicle Crash, going to land it, and that is going to clean take out the Toxtricity from there. It goes down, we get our Chillinate up to +2 attack, and we're still at a range of health where we could take a hit. So Glastrier putting in a really good shift early on. So now in comes the Hitmonchan. But here's the thing, unless he's very offensive with close combat or Thunder Punch, he actually doesn't take us out here because of the defensive investment. If he's just like a Drain Punch set, especially if he's set up, he won't kill us. And a +2 Icicle Crash from Adamant Glastrier will take him out. So again, I'm just going to stay in and click Icicle Crash and just do damage, because unless, like I say, he's a very offensive variant, he's not taking us out from here. Now Thomas is actually going to pull a double at this stage. He is going to get out of there with Hitmonchan, and he is going to make the play into Scizor. Now, I'm at +2. This Icicle Crash is going to hurt, and as you'll see, it does around about 45%, which is great damage to have. And again, a Bullet Punch won't kill me. He can obviously take me out with something like an X-Scissor or a U-Turn, but Knockoff won't kill either. So once again, I am going to stay in, committed to Glastrier doing as much as it can. And in front of this Scizor at about 55% at +2 attack, I am going to be clicking High Horsepower. And Light Screen is what he opts to go for. I wasn't expecting this at all, but what it means is I'm going to be able to get off a +2 High Horsepower, and that is going to take out the Scizor as well. Glastrier is going absolutely crazy in the early game, netting 3 kills in the first not many turns, and we're still alive to scout out what Thomas is going to go into next. We're 6-3 up, in a really good position, and we've got him really on the back foot. And now in comes the Palafin. Now, again, I've been committed to letting Glastrier stay until it goes down since day one. I am just going to click the High Horsepower. I'm anticipating him to just go for Flip Turn and activate his Palafin into probably the Snorlax. But Glastrier is unsalvageable at this point. It's done a huge amount of work, so I'm just going to click High Horsepower, and if he lets me have it, he lets me have it. And in comes the Jet Punch. That is finally going to take down Glastrier. But Glastrier has netted 3 kills. It's ripped through half of Thomas's team and has put in a huge shift. Shout out to Palafin for getting a KO in baby form. And now I have a decision to make. What do I want to go into? Raging Roger could be the play, but what I'm actually going to choose to do here is go into my Iron Valiant. And the reason I'm going to do that is to try and dissuade him from activating Palafin. By going into Iron Valiant, if he wants to activate Palafin, he is effectively going to have to sack another Mon, which at this point he really can't afford to do with the score at 5-3. If he wants to activate Palafin, he's going to have to switch out hard, because he won't outspeed, and go into either Snorlax, a potential Winquon, or the Hitmonchan. Both of those will take massive damage from Iron Valiant. So, as I say, in comes Iron Val with the express purpose of weakening down this Palafin, or if he wants to activate it and keep it full health, force him to sack off yet another Mon. I'm going to click Close Combat. It's going to do a whole heap of damage to anything. And yeah, either he has to sack a Mon, or Palafin is about to take a big old hit. So in comes Close Combat. He knows he can't afford to hard switch out. That's going to do a good like 85-ish%. Staying in Baby Palafin form, he is going to go for the Zen Headbutt. Now that is going to do a big old chunk, which is pretty good for him. A Jet Punch will take me out, but I can be like, I'm just going to click Vacuum Wave. Looking at the damage I'm doing to him, it should be enough to take him out, even with my lower level of investment, and out-prioritize the incoming Jet Punch. So, in comes Vacuum Wave, and it does nothing at all. He's going to go for Jet Punch, and that's going to take me out. I completely forgot about the light screen from Sizzle. Completely forgot it was up. So, he is going to live with the Palafin. Shout out to Palafin for getting 2 kills in baby form. But right about now, I'm starting to worry a little bit more about the Snorlax, because he has the free Terra Fairy on it. And if he's like a Curse variant, I'm running out of ways to hit him. I do have Moose Bolton around, having freed it up. His only out-and-out special attacker that he brought is down. So I'm a bit more free with Ting-Lu if I need that for the Snorlax. So what I'm going to do here, as you'll see, is I'm going to go into my Brambleghast, and I'm going to click Rapid Spin, just to try and guarantee that I hit and Oko this guy. Now Palafin's actually going to stay in here and go for Ice Punch, which is great for us because it does under half, and that is going to activate Brambleghast's weakness policy. This is massive. I need that boost to try and take on the Snorlax. I'm going to go for Rapid Spin, the only 100% accurate move I have. That is going to take out Baby Palafin from there, so its Reign of Terror is going to come to an end, and now we're in a 4v2 situation. Me with a +2 attack, +1 speed Brambleghast on the field, ready to try and deal with either Snorlax or Hitmonchan. So, in comes the big threat, the Snorlax. Now, I don't know what kind of set we're going to be working with here. It could be like a banded set, it could be Curse, it could be Rest Talk, it could be any number of things. My safest play is to go for Strength Sap and kind of hope that he isn't clear Amulet. I have very little HP investment, I have very low base HP. He's got very high base HP and good attack. So I'm going to go for Strength Sap, get myself back to full, scout out what this Snorlax wants to do to me. So, Thomas is going to Terrastallize on the Snorlax as we expected, just going to go for that Terra Fairy as we anticipated coming. Like I say, I am going to go for the Strength Sap, try and get him down to -1. We go for it, and he proves himself to not be Clear Amulet, which is great. He is now -1 attack, and now we'll see what he has to hit this full health Brambleghast. It's going to be Terra Blast, which is kind of implying that's his best move to hit me. So no Heat Crash, no Crunch is great. It doesn't do over half of what we got, and now with him not being a normal type anymore, I'm free to go for Poltergeist. This is going to be not my most damaging move, but it's my most accurate big damage move. And it will also allow us to see his item, and that will help scout out what kind of set we're working against. So in comes the Poltergeist, and we see the Chesto Berry. So there's Rest on there somewhere, and boy howdy is he going to need it. That does a lot of damage, and in comes the Terra Blast once again, but it isn't from that range a 2-hit KO. Now, even with that low amount of damage that it's doing, that is definitely an offensive variant of Snorlax. Now, unfortunately, Rapid Spin might not be taking him out from here. I am going to have to go for the Poltergeist again and risk the miss, and unfortunately we do miss. Now, this is going to allow him to get off a rest. That's unfortunate, it means we can't go for Poltergeist anymore because his Chesto Berry is going to be used up. So now we have to rely on the slightly less accurate but more powerful Power Whip to try and take this Snorlax down. The light screen goes away, that's not going to matter at all anymore, and as I say, we're just going to go for Strength Sap first. It's the best play to go for. We get him down to -2, and as I say, he's from the damage rolls, an offensive variant of Snorlax, so we are going to get right back up to full health. Once again, in comes the Terra Blast. Now this is very much telling me he's spamming it, it's his best move to hit, and it probably means he doesn't have Curse either. So, feeling a lot better about things, I'm going to lock in on Power Whip. That is going to come in and do tremendous damage to the Snorlax. Once again, Terra Blast is going to come in from my opponent. But again, as you'll see, it's not doing a massive amount of damage. From there, it's not even a 4-hit KO. And from the range of health he's at, with me at +2, and him being offensive, Rapid Spin is going to net another KO. A second KO for Brambleghast, a second Speed Boost, a second Rapid Spin kill, and down goes that very threatening Terra Fairy Snorlax. And now, all Gentleman Thomas has left is the Hitmonchan. Now, he's going to waste no time going into said Hitmonchan. I am just going to be clicking Poltergeist here. I have no reason not to. I'm at +2 attack. It's going to do a whole heap of damage, if not just straight up Oko this guy. So that's what I'm going to lock in on, and we'll see what he has to try and hit me. A knockoff is not going to be doing a massive amount because we don't have an item anymore. He could be Fire Punch, he could be Ice Punch. We're going to go for the Poltergeist, and unfortunately we're going to miss another one as Hitmonchan goes for Bulk Up. This is a little bit scary, but I'm still hopeful that we can just go for a Poltergeist once again and try and take him out from this range. Even at +1, we have a good amount of attack, and Hitmonchan is not the most physically bulky. I'm considering the Strength Sap, but I think in the end, I'm just going to go for Poltergeist and hit him, find out his item, and try and just win from here. So, Poltergeist is going to come in. We see a Covert Cloak, and the Poltergeist is going to do, oh, so close to killing. He's going to go for another Bulk Up here. Covert Cloak on there, presumably to try and deal with Petulant and set up on it with its good natural special bulk. But at this range, he can't Drain Punch because of our Ghost typing. We are going to be able to guarantee a hit with Rapid Spin and hope that he doesn't have anything for us. He is going to go for the Bullet Punch, but we are fully physically defensive. We are going to take that hit, go for the Rapid Spin, a third kill for Brambleghast, a third Rapid Spin kill for Brambleghast, and that is going to be the game. So yeah, great game to Gentleman Thomas. We take a big 4-0 win there. With some of the lower tier threats doing some work, you know. I probably didn't need to throw away my Iron Vow the way I did, but I had my reasonings behind it. I wanted to try and take down as many of his mons as possible before that Terra Fairy Snorlax could come in. But yeah, Glastria putting in a huge amount of work in the early game, taking out half of Thomas's team before the win con worked. Strength Sap, Weakness Policy, Brambleghast coming through there. 3 kills for that guy. All of them netted with Rapid Spin, which is nice to see on a personal level. Yeah, a pretty hacks-free game. We missed a couple of Poltergeists, but it didn't turn out mattering in the end. And we take a fairly useful win. What that means, ostensibly, is that we are at 6-2 going into the final week. Now, let's talk about what happens after the final week. I know I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. There's one more game to go. That'll be against Asta, so look forward to that. Now, the way this works, we have 2 divisions of 12 teams. When it comes to playoffs, the top 2 teams from each division, they go through the playoffs automatically. Positions 3 through 6 go into the play-ins, and they have some games, and then the 2 winners out of the 4 in the brackets will also net their place in playoffs. So 1 and 2 automatically go through, 3 to 6 have to fight for it. What this win here for us means is that we are guaranteed no lower than 6th place. At the very least, we have escaped the regular season, and at the very least, we will get to the play-ins, which is great. It's a huge amount of pressure off. We had a bit of a tough time with those 2 losses, but we've come back from it, and we've at least guaranteed ourselves playoffs, which is amazing. Really happy about that, and happy with the way the team put in work. Great stuff
all told. Once again, great battle to Gentleman Thomas. His links, once again, down in the description below. Make sure you check them out along with everyone else. He's a great dude. Had a lot of fun chatting to him after the battle. And he's got some great content. And he's a very, very good battler. You should absolutely go and check out his content. I can highly endorse it, so make sure that you do that. But I'm going to get out of here. I've rambled on far too long. So my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I will see you next time. Laters.